Welcome, everybody, to If I May, a podcast with me, Dylan, an average guy, along with three of my average friends, Kyle, Brent, and Nick. In this episode, we're going to be talking about video games, journey to pro leagues, and LAN gaming. We talk about new movies coming out, remaking older movies, and talking about past singers. And then, of course, we round up the entire episode with Game of Thrones. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, make sure not to listen to the end of the episode. This is episode 48. Let's go. Do any of you guys play Rainbow Six Siege?
No.
I have it downloaded. I have always wanted to play it and wanted to be good at it because I feel like it's a game similar to Call of Duty that I could get into, but I just haven't.
Yeah, now it's like one of those games where like it's been out for so long that if you haven't been playing it, it's not really because they're so good at it. So it's hard, like even in like the casual gameplay,
Everyone's exactly so good. Where
even me, like I took such a big break that when I play Rainbow Six again, I'm just getting creamed and it's in casuals.
You were like on a semi-pro team for that, right?
I know. I was.
What's the story there? I don't. So I partially remember this. I know you were like a backup player / practice squad player, or maybe you even like competed in a tournament or two. Like what's the backstory? What's the background there?
All right, so I was playing with a group of guys that I've been playing with for years. So all of us were like really close, and we decided that we're all from a previous clan from Battlefield 4, and Battlefield 3 before that. We've all been playing together, and then we decided to play Rainbow Six Siege, and there was a group of 5 of us that were kind of playing together every single day through college. So I was in college, they were, I don't know, whatever they were doing. But basically we would get on every single day, and we would basically practice. We'd play for hours every day, and we'd play Rainbow Six Siege, and we got to the point where we were competing in weekend tournaments. And we got pretty good. And we were studying the game. We were making strats. So strats are like different strategies to get to an objective. So you have people holding certain angles. Some people are breaching certain walls while people are watching their backs. So Rainbow Six Siege is basically a first-person shooter chess game once you get into the higher levels. So you have everyone watching each other's backs, watching angles. You're basically working step by step to get to a certain objective. You definitely see it in the pro leagues if you watch how they all seem like they're running around kind of sporadically. But yes, everyone has their assigned spots. Every little thing is planned out. Like they're throwing smoke grenades here, flashbangs here. Someone's watching this angle, someone's peeking this angle. Like everything is kind of they practice everything, so everything has to be planned out. So we would spend like hours. I purposely scheduled my like senior year of college.
You scheduled your classes around practice?
I did. So like we'd practice from like 5 p.m. till about 4 a.m. and then I would sleep.
Oh, just a couple hours of practice each day.
It's like 8 hours every single night. So we'd play like I'd put a ridiculous amount of time into it, and then I would sleep until like 11, and then I would have class from like 11 till 3 or something. Like I only had a couple hours of class my senior year. So it was like a perfect time for me to be doing this. Anyways, we started playing. I'm trying to think of Go for our 6 tournaments. They're basically Rainbow Six tournaments that you sign up for weekend, and it was like a cheap entry fee. It was like $25 entry fee or something like that. So like we all put in $5 and you'd be able to compete. And basically it was just kind of a way for sponsors to kind of check out like who are the new upcoming teams. And everything is tracked. You can go online and you can check out the tournament standings, I guess is what it's called. So you can see like which teams, because you get certain points based on how well you do that weekend. And then from there, the teams that win those tournaments and they get picked up, basically they are the ones that you are working up to your higher level tournaments. And then as you win these tournaments, basically you're competing every weekend, and that's pretty much how you get into pro league. Is you have to work your way up through these tournaments. and then by the time you get up to like the pro league level, you've earned yourself sponsors. They're paying for all the tournaments. They're paying for your tickets, whatever.
So how far did you guys get up this chain?
So, we got to the point where we started getting sponsors, and we didn't really get paid. Like, we didn't get to that point, but we were kind of like teams were checking us out, and we ended up getting picked up by Lethal Gaming. So they were like one of the new upcoming sponsors. Like, all the sponsors are kind of starter companies that are trying to get their names out too. So like, not all these companies can really put up a lot of money right away. Now obviously you hear about the bigger companies like Cloud9 and TSM. Like, obviously those are more like, they've got funds, they have teams in games, multiple sponsors. Like, those are the big money teams. But there's a lot of other sponsors out there that are sponsoring new upcoming teams, hoping to make it big, because the players make the sponsors money. So some team made those companies a lot of money, and obviously League of Legends. So now these teams are kind of branching off. So now you're seeing
basically for the players aspect, the players get a consistent paycheck instead of relying on sponsorships. That's basically the organization's job, is to get the sponsorships. Whereas
the sponsor is players making the money.
Yeah, but I guess like the players could be making more money, but because they're working for like a team, they get like a consistent paycheck instead, right? Is that basically how it works?
Yeah. So basically,
in the highest tier, anyway.
You signed, up in the highest level of esports, the players are making their sponsors the money. So like, the players really aren't making like a lot of money. Their sponsors are getting most of the money from the tournaments.
It's still like a ridiculous amount of money for like a 14, 15, 16-year-old.
Exactly. But the sponsors are the ones that are actually getting most of the money. And but the sponsors are the ones that are, so like, for example, I think it was Cloud9 or TSM, like they have their own house in Los Vegas, or not Los Angeles. So like, once you get to that level, like they basically pay for the players to come out, and they basically live in this house, and that is their job, is to play video games. So that's kind of like the higher level, because now the sponsor can kind of support the players.
If I may, real quick, Dylan, do you have some basketball players playing behind you?
I do not.
There's a chirp.
I know. And all right, so the fire detector out in the hallway of my barracks literally just started beeping like a second ago. So that's the thing that I'm gonna have to deal with. So I might be muted for the rest of this podcast, and I'll kind of chip in here and there, but that's the thing that's happening. So just something you have to deal with.
I was wondering if you had some basketball players, squeaking their shoes.
Squeaking on the courts. Yeah, no, that's... Let me close my door at least, see if that helps.
I'm sure it will.
But yeah, anyway, so that's kind of like the gist. So we didn't get that far start making money. We basically were getting kind of like, the sponsors are kind of checking out our team, and we basically got to that point where like, we were playing under the title of a sponsor. Like, we were able to get like our own logos and our own jerseys made and that kind of stuff.
Dude,
but
sick.
we never really got to the point where they would pay for us to fly out to a LAN tournament. I think like a couple of our guys went to, I want to say, Brazil. They flew down for like one tournament, and so they went down for one LAN tournament, and I don't think they did very good, because like,
oh no,
when you go down to like the LAN tournaments, that's when you see like the big teams, the guys with the big money. So these were just some dudes that they ended up like paying their own way down to Brazil, and apparently it wasn't like super expensive. But the guys that could go went. I couldn't. I was still in college, but
I would say, if I may, I would say from like it seems like from a League of Legends perspective anyway, like some of these up and coming teams, like they'll do really well in those kind of tournaments, and then have like their top one or two people picked off by like the pro teams, and then that team's crap again because the one or two like super crazy good people on the team just get picked up by a quote unquote legit team.
Yeah, that's what happens. And there's like a lot of rules too, and people kind of find things that like maybe they start digging into your team, and they might find like, hey, this dude is 17 years old and he's not 18, so he obviously can't play, even though like he's one of your better players.
Yeah, we can't pay him or whatever. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't allowed. So we had a dude on our team that was 17 years old, and we were playing in these tournaments or winning all. like these go for our 6 tournaments, and then they like went down to the LAN tournament, and they're like, you're 17, you can't play. We're just like, what? So obviously
that
that's something
sucks.
that we should have known.
Even with like,
But
was his parents there or something?
no,
Oh,
but
darn.
it was just one of those things where like they looked into the team and was like, hey, this guy can't, and he was like one of the players.
That sucks.
So yeah, so after I graduated college, the team kind of like split ways, kind of fell apart, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, so now what I'm saying is, after you take such a long break from a game like Rainbow Six Siege, um, there's a lot of new operators. So there's a lot more
Yeah, they've
characters
added
that
more
do
to the
different
game.
things. There's a lot of new map. There's like a bunch of new maps. So now I'm basically a brand new player to a game that I've been playing for years.
If I may, Nick, didn't you used to play Rainbow Six? I remember there was a Rainbow Six game I used to watch you play back in the day.
Yeah, there was an old school one from, good description, back in the day, that I used to play on the computer, and it was an old game when I picked it up, and I would say I was never that great at it. The top clan, never mind, I was fairly good at it. The top clan.
I changed my mind. Actually, I was a beast.
Oh no, I'm not going to say I was a beast, but I was good enough to get into the top clan, in the still played the game. It was Shake and Bake was the name of the clan.
Nice.
And they were the top clan online, and I tried out because they held somewhat regular tryouts, and pretty much everyone I'd gone to just to like watch, they annihilated everybody. But I'm sitting here like, do just as well as these guys, if not better. And I did end up making it onto the team, which was nice, but I never took it too seriously. It's not like I tried to do any competitions or do anything fancy, but I was solid. I won't claim I was, top tier. I never would have made money. I was not, that life was not meant to be by any means, but I enjoy competing in games, especially video games. Doesn't really matter what it is. I'm a pretty good gamer overall, but no, to say that you were part of a team at all like that in college or at any other time is it's an achievement. That's pretty cool.
The closest thing I ever was to that was in college, my freshman year. One of my good buddies that I hung out with freshman year, him and were like super into Call of Duty. We literally played Call of Duty every single night, specifically Modern Warfare 3, because that's the one that just came out when we were playing. And dude, we played that game like crazy, and we actually did I think they're called game battles, where we do 2-on-2, and it would be like a randomly assigned map. Somebody would have to host. I think we only played like 3 official matches on the page. One of them, we didn't read the description correctly, and it was a third-person view Call of Duty, which was a new option, and we were not prepared for that. There's definitely different strategies for third-person, and we were not good at it.
I can imagine like peeking around corners.
Right? Well, like it's Call of Duty too, so it's just like completely against what you're normally going for. We literally were just looking for like, what's the next game battle that somebody's offering? We'll just join in. And we saw it and it was like doubles, this map. We like that map. Perfect. We're in. And we didn't like fully read through the rules that said it was third person. But the other 2 matches we played, I think we won one, lost the other. So we're like 1-3 overall, 1 for 3 online. But it was a fun time. Plus we just played a lot on our own.
You said you scheduled your classes around competitions or practices for this team, correct?
I did. So
just for comparison, what I can share, and I think it was Modern Warfare 2 when I was in high school. What I would do is, I was a high school football player and very committed to weightlifting all summer. That was basically my job. I was very fortunate that my family could allow for me to do that, but my job was to lift and work out, and then
I picked things up and put them down.
Exactly. But my schedule in high school, and not just me, I mean, it was pretty much every football player on our team for our school. So we would wake up for like I think it like 8 a.m. It wasn't super early, but 8 a.m. lifting. I mean, I guess also in the summer as a kid, 8 a.m. is pretty early, but you had morning lifting, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, you had morning lifting. And then you also had a running program that would run from like 9 to 11. There was bowling. So you would come home from either lifting or running program, and then everyone would log on to Call of Duty. We would all play. And then we would all go bowling at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because there was an anti-drug program that gave everyone like a free game of bowling once daily. So we would go pretty much every day.
Nice. There should be more drug-free programs out there.
I'm sure there are. I just have no idea what it was, but it was through the school, and it was to encourage us to behave and other things. But the schedule was literally wake up, work out, go to Call of Duty. In the afternoon, after a little bit of Call of Duty and lunch, we would make our way over to the bowling alley. And then after we were done bowling, we'd go home. We'd play more Call of Duty. That evening, everyone would basically be playing Call of Duty, unless we were meeting at someone's house for a get-together, a party of some variety.
And that get-together would be Call of Duty.
Occasionally, yeah.
It's interesting that you guys would play Call of Duty. I kind of had the same thing, except Halo. Like, everyone would get together, and this was in high school. So, like, after, on the weekends, we would go over. My buddy had his own house, and we would go over to his house, and like all of us would come over.
In high school, your buddy had his own house? Sorry.
Yeah, he did. And so his family had 2 houses. So the kids lived at one house, and the parents lived at another house. And
oh my God, that's like
they just let them do whatever they want with the house. They weren't rich at all, but they just didn't have. I don't know what happened. I don't really know how this happened, but they ended up with 2 houses.
Put the kids over in that one. Screw it. We'll take ours.
And that was like the party house of high school. So that's like we'd all go over there, and we would all play Halo until the evening, and then we'd party in the evening. But like we'd play Halo through the night some nights. Like we went when there wasn't any parties or anything. Like we would literally all come over, and he had like this huge TV, and we'd bring like multiple TVs. And we'd hook up, like, with Ethernet cables, we'd hook up all the Xboxes and TVs, and we would just, like, have tournaments of Halo, like, all in one room, all night. We'd pull all-nighters.
If I may, I have maybe 3 quick Halo stories if I remember the third one to get to it. But first one was my freshman year tennis practice. Our coach was super into Halo. Like, if you had his gamer tag on your console, you were one of the cool kids. I didn't even have an Xbox back then, but like that's literally right when the 360 came out. Was like the time I'm talking right now. But so we were getting ready for tennis practice, and it was like the first week or something of that, like the first week of the year. And it was raining out or like crappy out, and the courts were wet, so you can't practice outside. So our like quote unquote standard practice was to run laps around our school until you basically hit a mile, and then we're done for the day. You just do push-ups and go home. So instead, like some of the other older JV players were like, Coach, we should just play Halo. Let's play Halo. Come on, Coach. And then he's like, initially he's like, no, like that'd be awesome, but no. And then they just kept on prodding at him. He's like, okay, fine. You have 20 minutes. We need 2 Xboxes, an extra TV, and all the cables to hook it up. If you miss anything, we're running double. And they're like, got it. Ooh. They literally jumped in a car, sped off. We all went up, and we had to run circles until they got there. But like, no joke, within like 10 minutes, they were back. They had 2 Xboxes, an extra TV, because they used the one that was already in the teacher's room, who was our coach, and like set it all up. And we were playing Halo instead of practice. And that was my very first experience with Halo, and I sucked. Second quick story was at camp, which Brent could probably elaborate on. That way I'm not just talking like crazy. And that's we would get 2 Xbox 360s going, hooked up via LAN cable, because up at camp there was no internet. So we get LAN cable going, like hung up from the ceiling with duct tape in between the 2 rooms. And we'd be playing on 2 Xboxes, 4 people on each Xbox, 8 total, either 4-on-4, or the other big one was zombies on Halo. That was so much fun, where you're sprinting around as a zombie, but you're really easy to kill. That was the best.
Well, the cool part about Halo 2 is that, like, it was really popular. Everyone played Halo 2. Then there's also, like, open maps and open custom. It was, like, the first game where
fully customizable.
Customize and, like, build your own game modes. So like, we would make, like, huge zombie maps, and, like, you'd make it, like, damn near impossible for all the zombies to get to you. So, like, you'd be up there. And
but when there's enough of them, you get swarmed.
Yeah, you just spend like an hour just like having two people up in some ungodly location and just like a swarm of zombies trying to get up to them, and they're just shooting them, mowing them down. Basically, you're just jumping, everyone's swarming until they run out of ammo.
The be-
So
the
like,
the best map for that was either the sand one in Halo 3, where you could get up on that
Sandlot.
ridge. Yeah, you could get up on that ridge and just like we always played, humans would get snipers and shotguns, and then zombies would be just crazy fast but have no armor, so one hit kill pretty much no matter what, and then swords. And so like you have people approached up on top of that dune like hill, and like the zombies had no chance until they eventually pick off the couple people that are being silly or getting bored with it, and then you're getting swarmed. The other really good map was the one that had like the pipe on the right hand side, like it's a water assault kind of thing, and there's like a complex, but off to the right there's like a secret pipe entrance. You get two people poached up in that pipe facing opposite directions, you're basically unstoppable.
How did you feel about Halo Reach when they first introduced powers?
I liked Reach. I thought Reach was good. 4 I didn't play enough of, and then I don't even know what they're at now. But up
Was
to Reach,
powers-
I liked Reach.
Was the powers from Reach, or was Halo 3 had powers?
No, it was
Halo.
Reach.
I think
Reach
it
had
was
the right
Reach.
bumper activation where you could do
And
a
you like
quick
had the
jetpack
big
or
bubble shields,
sprinting, or
Yep.
No, I remember Reach had a lot of the game modes that were really great. Like something about the game itself, Reach just felt better than most of the other Halos. Like the other Halos were a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing them, but there's something about Reach that just stood out to me.
because Reach had health and shields, because it was supposed to take place either right before or right after Halo 1 or something like that. I think it was before. It was a prequel to Halo 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited
Yeah,
for
and-
when it all comes to the computer. I think that'll be really cool.
The Master Chief Collection on the computer.
Yeah.
Has it yet? Has it dropped yet?
No, it's gonna be a while,
It
I
should.
think.
How is it a while? It's been programmed for years. These games,
I
it's
know,
only up
but
to
porting
4 or
that kind of
5.
stuff
It's
takes a
so
while.
long. They originally released for it. They're originally
Yeah, it
released
was
for the
PC
computer.
originally. But I think it's gonna take a while for them. They're just not. It's not rush. They're not gonna rush it.
It better
Just
look
like
I saw
Half-Life
amazing.
3.
I saw something on the news today that I thought was like, and what it was they're having AI digitally remaster old games, and then they're gonna re-release them as like obviously did, but they're having AI remaster them, and one of the games that was on their list was Diablo 2. Like one of their
That would be
main
awesome.
games that they were advertising people to check out, because it was going to be like the brand new beautiful graphics, and like I think they were going to add more to the game, but one of their showcase game was Diablo 2, and I was like, wow, I would have never guessed that.
I
that's
want
what they
Diablo 2 with Diablo 3 controls and interface.
right.
That would be so amazing.
Yeah, that'd be super fun. And like I wish they could add more to the story, because it's like everyone's played it over and over and over so many times, so I wish they could add more to it. But we'll see how that goes. I don't know what's going to happen, if we're going to have to pay for that after it's been remastered. I have no idea.
So speaking of, like this new Halo coming out, or old Halo coming out again, and Diablo 2 coming out as remastered, what's the next big thing? Like I don't know. I've fallen behind, I guess, on current
In gaming?
events, but just in general. So like April was a huge month. Game of Thrones got re-released, and Endgame came out. Like things that people were hyped for. I don't know. I need something to be
You're
hyped
talking about like the new future of gaming. Is that what you're talking about?
Well,
I think
just in
it's
general,
about-
like
in
not
general,
even gaming, but like what should I be hyped about coming up for this summer? Because I don't know.
What's the new
what's
thing that
coming
everybody's
out?
going to be talking about on social media?
Well, give me one moment.
Are you Googling? Checking
Of course
social
I am.
media? Trending
using Google.
hashtags?
I think it's the next gen systems. Theoretically, PlayStation and Xbox both are due in the next year or two. I don't know if that's the timeline you're looking for. Due to have a quote unquote next gen system, but
What about the Google system?
Oh, that'll be cool. We talked about that.
When does,
couple
when does
podcasts
that
ago.
drop? I remember. When does that drop? Do you know?
I'll look it up quick while you guys continue.
Okay. The new John Wick drops this Friday.
That that does have me hyped. Actually, thank you.
I need to watch number
forgot
2.
about-
Nick was right.
What?
I watched number 1. It was great. I need to watch number 2.
You haven't seen number 2 yet? Oh god, it gets. I don't even want to talk about it. It's so good.
Yeah.
I liked one better, but it's still they continued it. It wasn't like it dropped off, which was no. No, so that's a good one. I do agree. Getting hyped for John Wick is pretty exciting. Probably
Yeah,
will
I
wait for
mean-
it to get out of theaters, but
I'm looking up the genre of movies right now coming up in.
Just say you're going to wait
2019.
for it to get out of theaters?
probably I don't go to theaters. Like
The hell's
Endgame
wrong
was
with you?
awesome in theaters. I didn't see the first 2 John Wicks in theater.
Yeah, so you
So,
can't ruin his
mistake.
experience level.
The experience has been just based off of what's TV screen. I don't know if I want to mess with that.
That's a good
Try and
point.
true.
Like some movies are great movies, but you don't need to go see them in a theater. Like I'm sure a lot of like chick flicks in general aren't
Definitely do not
theater
need to see them in
worthy
theater.
movies in the sense that they don't have anything like crazy visually for like, battle scenes or, something that makes it even cooler to see it on a big screen. Like Lord of the
John Wick
Rings.
would be
If you
much
didn't see
cooler.
Lord of the Rings in big screen, you missed out a little bit of the experience of Lord of the Rings just from like the grandeur of it and like how the scenes and what like the battles and all that.
I agree with that.
Like Shazam, for example. Great movie. You don't need to see it in theaters.
Great
Are any of
movie.
you guys planning on going to see this new Pokemon movie?
I
I'll
want
be
to.
going.
What'd you say?
I will be going, yes.
So this is a great example of one that like I don't think you need to see in like the Pokemon movie. I haven't seen it yet, but it's probably one you wouldn't need to see in theaters unless you're really excited about it or you're just looking for something to do and you're like, let's go to the movies. It
I
would be
just
a
like
top
going to the
option.
movies.
I don't know. It's got Ryan Reynolds in it. Like it's probably
His
gonna be pretty
voice,
funny.
yes.
Yeah, but
Well,
the
yeah, I
Green
know.
Lantern had Ryan Reynolds in it, and that movie was
You're right.
a hot mess. So
That was his
True.
flop.
He's on
that
top
was
now.
rough.
He's heating up. He's on fire right now. I don't think like what's the last flop he's released? Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
X-Men
have you
Origins or whatever. I don't know when that one released
Have you
compared to
guys
Green
seen
Lantern.
the trailer for Rocket Man?
No.
Yes, I don't know why those movies are trending right now.
That's
I
because
actually
the
really
Queen
like
movie
the
went well.
actor. Well, right, that's what I mean. Like, why are they making movies about artists like that? Now,
Because his
the
life
actor,
is so interesting.
Um,
The life of Elton John, like, dude, I want to see. So, like, obviously, they just made the movie about Queen, and like, they're all these old school. I guess not old school because they're
Lady
still
Gaga.
alive, but yeah, that was a
A
great
Star Is
movie,
Born.
and like, yeah. So obviously, people are interested in the art now, and they want to hear this, like, the life story of these artists, and like,
To be fair, they
Who
probably
knows,
have some
like-
crazy stories in their lives.
they have to. The life of an artist is so bizarre and interesting, and like, you have to be to make it big. Like, you have to be interesting and outgoing, and like, who's more outgoing than Elton John? Like, just look at him. He's like, he doesn't
Fabulous.
give a
He's
fuck.
fabulous.
Yeah, he's.
if I may, I am super excited for one reason. I do like the actor. It's the gentleman who plays the main character in the Kingsman series, which apparently they're making a third one of that. That's
Good,
not exactly a get hype moment, but I like the first two. They're different.
If you
They're
save
a
the world, I'll give you butt sex. I'll be right back.
They're a nice mix on James Bond because I'm a classic James Bond kind of fan, and the Kingsmen have been, I mean, silly but solid. I've enjoyed it. Not
Oh,
saying
yeah.
they're theater worthy in all cases, but it's been fun. Now the guy who played Queen or whatever,
Yep.
Oh, Rami,
whatever his
blah.
is, he was in a show something like where he's got a mental health issue, and it was really good. I'm blanking on the name, but he did a series where he was the main character, like a computer savvy person. Whatever. He was awesome in that, and apparently he was like the bright spot of making the movie. The movie itself regarding Queen was poorly rated. Not that I'm always a believer in the critics, but they basically said nobody told him it was a crap film with a crap plot, and he showed up and just acted his heart out and did an amazing job, and everyone else was garbage based on what the reviews anyway that I saw, which I would believe because the dude is incredibly talented.
On here it says that Bohemian Rhapsody got 8.1 out of 10, which is pretty good, and the main star is Rami Malek.
Yeah, what else has Rami Malek been in?
As
soon as I hear it, I'll know what it
they
was.
were intentionally
Mr.
thinking
Robot.
Mr. Robot, that's what it was. Really interesting series.
Who hasn't missed
not that you
Mr. Robot?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
I haven't seen it either.
I liked
It's a really interesting series. I'll try not to spoil it.
I liked his performance. I couldn't finish the movie. It didn't grip me. I got kind of bored halfway through, I think.
I've had it sitting on my
I
hard
feel like
drive
that's
for a
what
while
happened.
to watch, and yeah,
I see what happened with the Elton John movie too. I think I'll be interested until I get bored. I think Michael Jackson would be a pretty interesting.
Or the Beatles.
If they were to do a biop.
Sorry,
him, or
let's
bio.
let Nick finish.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh no, I don't have a whole lot more. It's just I think if you were to watch Mr. Robot, you would be surprised that it's a pretty good little series, and I think it was on like USA or some no name network, and I did watch it. It's pretty solid. He's a very good actor, and if the Elton John movie is anything like the other one, it's got an actor I enjoy watching, so I'll probably check it out. I'm not going to the theater for it though.
So one movie I'll be quick, Dylan. One movie I just saw in the theaters that I went with a group of friends. Like Juliana's some of her coworkers were going, and I was like, sure, I'll tag along. We went to Long Shot, not The Long Shot, just Long Shot. It's got a Seth Rogen and Charlie Theron.
That looked like it was going to be amazing. But
oh my God,
also...
Nick, you will love it. Like I had very low expectations going in. It was hilarious.
After
it was so good.
He was the same guy in Knocked Up, right?
Sure.
Other blonde.
I don't remember.
I think it was in Knocked Up.
I don't remember Knocked Up. I need a different movie reference.
Okay.
Seth Rogen.
I know Seth Rogen. He's in. Is that the one you're saying for Knocked Up or?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't watch Knocked Up though.
Google it.
He was in an interview. That's my favorite movie of Seth Rogen.
I only saw that once, Dylan. It was with you, and that was a good night.
You're saying it was a good movie, though? What's it called again? The Interview?
The Interview.
Oh, no. I was talking about, sorry. Long Shot.
Oh, The Long Shot.
Yeah.
That's where he is a reporter, and he's, like, reporting on this political candidate who was the girl who babysat him, who he had a horrible crush on. And then because he's reporting on her, he travels with her everywhere, and she can't get a boyfriend because she's traveling everywhere constantly.
But conveniently, he's traveling with her.
Haplessly fall in love, of course.
Yep. But then everybody's like, no, you guys can't be together because he's a hobo, basically, and you're going for president kind of thing, or, politician. Yeah. So, yeah.
I want to see it.
It was hilarious. Like, I would say it's again, one of those movies you don't have to see in the theater, but I would recommend seeing it because it's so funny. Like, if you're going for a movie theater, it's worth the watch if you've already seen Endgame.
Cool. I'm glad you liked it, because that was one of the movies that was previewed a lot, that looked like it could be good, but because of prior works by Seth Rogen regarding romantic comedies of varieties, they haven't gone over well. So to hear that one's good that
one was funny. I enjoyed every single joke. Wakanda forever.
How do you guys feel about them remaking, like the movie producers remaking older movies that, like, for example, I just saw that they just remade The Lion King. How does that make you feel?
See, all these Disney remakes with like live action, I think are a little bit hit and miss.
Stupid cash grabs.
As growing up with the story, I don't know if I like it. I think Lion King will be good. I heard they screwed up Dumbo, and that was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I haven't seen that one. I'll wait until it comes out on DVD. But
it looks bad.
I heard they changed the story. I heard they even changed the story. Like, it's not even the same storyline. So like they have to stay very true. I think Jungle Book was done well. They stayed very true to the original story. I didn't love it, but I think it did well. Like, it stayed true to the original story. It added a little bit more
enjoyed
depth
it.
in certain areas, like why the tiger hates humans because he was burned as a child, as a young tiger or whatever. So
Cub.
Cub, you might say. But I think they're hit and miss. We'll see. As long as they don't butcher it, I'm cool with it.
And at the end of this, actually, in 2 weeks, they're releasing Aladdin.
Oh boy.
And at the end of this month, they're releasing a remake of Godzilla.
Another
Godzilla
remake
ones-
of Godzilla?
It's not a remake.
yeah.
Godzilla's a continuation of the series.
Yeah.
Is it?
Dude,
That's
there's like
different
so
than-
many Godzillas.
But
Okay,
that's
well-
Godzilla's mojo, is to have a gazillion different types of Godzillas that just transform throughout time. That's the joy of a Godzilla. You don't go into a Godzilla movie expecting to be good. You just go in expecting to be entertained and hope that's okay.
You're not saying things that are sentences that mean anything.
No,
It does, though.
no.
It
I'm
does.
actually totally on Brent's side here. Like Godzilla,
have
you
you-
know there's going to be a battle scene between a Godzilla and some other monster or, the army or something like that. Like that's what you're going there for, not for the story.
If
So you're
you
saying
go
it's
in
on
to
the
watch a
same level as
Godzilla movie for the
Sharknado.
plot, then you need to reevaluate
Thank
your
you, Dylan.
life.
Thank you, Dylan.
If you
What did
go into a
Dylan say?
Godzilla movie to watch a plot and to get a story, you need to reevaluate your life and realize that
You
just like
are-
Transformers, you
you are
only
wrong.
get for the action. Name a Godzilla movie that was really driving you. That last Godzilla movie I watched, horrible. I had a friend that claimed it was a phenomenal movie, went like 4 times in a row.
Yeah, but you're also the
No.
one who's saying Game of Thrones is acceptable right now.
The last episode was.
We'll
And
get into
I'm
Game of Thrones
saying
talk at the
if
end.
you-
So leave Game of Thrones
And
to
with
the
that,
end.
you've lost all credit. Segue,
That's not
please.
true at all, Nick. I think you might be
No
overcritical
credit
on
of
things.
any kind whatsoever.
I'm just saying, name a Godzilla movie that was compelling in any sort of way.
Godzilla.
But the plot. I mean, there's a giant
There's at
monster
least
that takes
4
over
movies
Tokyo.
called Godzilla,
you
which is why I
come,
just-
you come to
Yeah,
watch.
say that was a really good pun, by the way, Kyle. He's
I-
not listening and he has no credit, so I have to give you the win for the pun there.
You just said Godzilla because there's 4 movies. That
There's at
wasn't-
least 4 movies
that.
just called Godzilla.
That was
Well, I'm
his
just
point.
saying you can't name one that you would say, oh, the
Godzilla.
Godzilla.
okay. Tell me the plot of it. Fill me in.
Godzilla came.
Exactly. I just proved my point right there. You can't name a single plot of Godzilla because none of them were compelling.
Actually, I can, but you're not going to listen anyway. So
I'll listen.
We
And
don't
if you
need to
can't-
hear about the 1999 Godzilla. That one was pretty bad.
exactly.
The
Well,
Godzilla,
okay,
the
okay.
Godzilla
If you're-
looked awesome, but the storyline was so bad.
If you're throwing in the 19, I don't think there is a 1999, but if you're
There
throwing
is.
in the 1999, that doesn't count.
All right, Dylan. you got something?
On the subject of Game of Thrones, there's a new X-Men coming out featuring Sophie Turner, who is Sansa Stark. I'm kind of excited to see that. Have you seen the commercial? The new X-Men?
I think I've seen an early teaser, but I have not seen the full trailer if
Yeah,
one's released.
it's Dark Phoenix, I believe. I'm not a big
Yes.
Sophie
She's really
Turner
powerful.
fan.
It comes out in June.
I don't know if I'm a big Sophie Turner fan. Generally, I'm a pretty big sucker for a redhead that's cute, but for whatever reason, like I don't like Sophie. Like she's not a bad actress. I'm not. It has nothing to do with Game of Thrones. Her character's fine. She did a fine job with Sansa.
Just
but
fine.
I'm not saying she's my favorite character because she's not. But I'm not holding that against her in any way, shape, or form. Like I've seen her in a few things, and I've not really said, yeah, that's Jean Grey, or oh my gosh, she's such an amazing actress, or oh my god, she's just so hot, or something that stands out for her. I think she's a very like
I like how so hot is one of the potential criteria to have her stick out for Nick.
Scarlett Johansson dude.
No, she doesn't do it for
The
me.
redhead?
I don't remember any movie besides Black Widow Scarlett Johansson's on. Honestly,
There's not a Black Widow movie.
well, once that comes out, but
It's
other than
supposed-
the Avengers stuff, she's forgettable in my opinion.
She's
I'm
in a
looking
couple.
forward-
She was in a romantic comedy where she was dating. Was it like Ryan Reynolds or somebody? Throbs, where he was married and the wife he was with was absolutely crazy, and she was this young girl. Has a great scene of her in the pool with him, and like it's the hotel scene, like from Tommy Boy, where the hot girl's in the hotel and like in the pool with him and does her thing, and he's like, "Oh well, I can't. I'm married," and she tries to seduce him. It's a great scene, but she's in a couple different things like that. There was the one where she became God essentially. What was the name of it? She was a drug mule accidentally. The bag of drugs.
Oh, that movie was terrible. Oh, I remember seeing that movie.
Shut the hell up!
It was.
No,
It was
nothing,
actually.
John Snow.
No. Because the plot made no sense at the end. If you think about
Really
it,
did.
she like speeds up, and then all of a sudden she gets these like weird computer like I don't know. It's like the same. All those movies have the same problem.
Equivalent of a god, and then left a bunch of information for mankind to take in the computer, like not answering everything,
So
but giving them.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
I'll look it up.
I don't either.
It was
Nick watches a lot of movies apparently.
I do.
No, I remember seeing it where it was she like gets drugs shoved up her butt basically, and then
I've seen Rick and Morty.
No, that is not at all what happened. Oh my god.
Is it not her butt? It was up. How else is she drug muling it though?
I will not listen to you talk about movies for the rest of this
all right,
podcast.
Nick, what was it called?
Maybe for the rest of your life.
What was it called?
My god.
If you can tell me what it was called, I'll trust that you know what the movie is.
Oh, hey, how about this? Instead of going down this
It's
tangent,
called Lucy.
if I may,
Lucy.
let's go around like what if you have to name 3 movies? Oh, you get 2 movies and 1
Oh, it was in
TV
her
show.
stomach. It was in her
Brent,
stomach.
we're going past that.
Oh, it was shoved up her butt.
It was her
2 movies.
stomach.
If I may, gentlemen, please. You have to pretend that somebody that you just met has never seen a single movie or TV series in their life for whatever reason. They're Amish and they've never seen a single thing in their life. You have to name 2 movies and 1 TV series that they have to watch. Like, what are your 2 movies / 1 TV series that somebody just has to watch in their lifetime to make sure their life is complete?
Boy, that is.
We'll default to Game of Thrones. You can't use that.
No, I'm not. I wasn't going to. They ruined the final 2 seasons.
If you want to get a little creative and hit like different genres, I'm okay with that, but keep it limited.
I was gonna say it depends on the person and what they like.
No,
but if
your favorite movies of all time that somebody has to watch these movies.
That's 2 different things though. Your favorite movies and have to watch are completely separate things.
You get the idea. You can name whatever movie comes.
I get the concept. For a TV series, I'm a huge fan of Breaking Bad. However, that's not my answer.
No, you have to pick one answer.
Actually,
You can't be naming 5 different series.
I know. Better Call Saul is a TV series that is on a level that most people who don't pay attention can't appreciate. But Better Call Saul is one of my favorite series ever.
Is that thing done yet where I can binge the entire thing at once?
I think they just came out with a season in the last 6 months. I
don't want to start it until it's fully complete. That way I can just binge the whole thing.
It may not be a good binge watch actually, but Better Call Saul was amazing from my perspective. I really enjoyed it. And movies, so many. I was born and raised on McClintock, which is an old Western movie with John Wayne. Ends up with him spanking his wife who left him, and is just being sassy. So it's
one
like
of Nick's 2 choices. He picks that. Okay, what's your next choice?
Hey, McClintock's a great movie.
I've never seen it.
Well, there's so many great scenes. The mudslide scene is absolutely hilarious. But I was raised on that movie, so McClintock, and I'm gonna stick with McClintock. I only have one answer for the movies because I can't pick a second one.
All right, I want to go next.
Do it.
All right, so I wrote a list. I've been like thinking about. Honestly, I haven't really been listening to you at all. Because there's so many different movies that I've seen and grown up with. My very first movie that I would be Murder on the Oriental Express. Not the new one. The new one apparently sucked. I didn't see it because I didn't want it to ruin the old. The old one is so good. I don't understand why they remade it. I think it's because not everyone has seen it, but the original one is amazing. It's basically a perfect recreation of a Hercule Poirot murder mystery. So, which is what it's based off of. My second movie would probably be The Martian, with Matt Damon.
That's a good one.
I think It's one of my favorites. That's one that I've watched multiple times, and I could probably keep watching it over and over. It's so good. The ending to it is a little cheesy, and I don't really like the ending to it. But the whole, like the movie as a whole, is so good that I just love it. And then for a TV series, I really enjoy the TV series Sherlock with Alan Cumberbatch.
That is a good one.
He's a
That's
good
probably
actor.
that's probably one of my
I need to
favorite.
catch up on that. It's been like I watched the first season and the second season. I think they released another one. I need to rewatch the whole thing. It's so good.
Yeah. Did I say Alan? Isn't it?
It's Alan Tierney is who you're thinking of from the other movie that he also
I'm
plays
thinking
in.
of Benedict. I'm thinking of
Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's his first name. I don't know why I thought of Alan for some reason.
He plays Alan Tierney in the one war movie where he invents the computer or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch.
I got you.
Who plays Sherlock.
He's an awesome actor in general.
He's perfect for Sherlock. I think that's the most perfect actor I've ever seen for Sherlock.
Anyone else, if I may, real quick, did anyone else see the meme where the one missed opportunity in what's the Marvel
Endgame?
Endgame.
Don't ruin anything. Don't ruin anything too much, just in case.
Okay, spoiler alert for
it.
Endgame. Fast forward like 30 seconds. The one missed opportunity in Endgame was for Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch to, at some point in the movie, look at each other and refer and like say like "Nice job, Sherlock."
Oh,
Is
no.
there make some sort of
Sherlock?
Sherlock reference? Sherlock Holmes.
I did not catch that.
No, they didn't.
They didn't, but that could have been awesome.
Miss it, but it could have been.
That's not spoiler worthy. I would say
joke.
that's safe.
If I may, I won't.
Assuming
spoil
Doctor
it.
Strange comes back, though, that is
I
spoiler.
suppose.
If I may, I want to throw out a moment this past weekend. So we were Skyping my family for Mother's Day, and we're talking. Like I asked my parents, "Have you seen Endgame yet?" And they had not. And Heather, my wife, is like, "Oh, blah blah blah, dies," and she hadn't seen the movie. She doesn't know anything about it, but it's just like the perfect spoiler for it. I just looked at him like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing?" Like, she basically spoils the entire movie.
Dude, my mom, if you're listening to this,
She does. I just talked to her.
That was
She
definitely a
listens to all of them.
spoiler on Facebook. Dylan, did you see that?
No, I don't have Facebook anymore.
I shouldn't. Anyhow, Juliana's sister posted something about on Facebook about Game of Thrones or something to the effect of like, I think it's better this week or something like that. And my mom's like, I can't believe how they did in so and so. It was like one of the characters that died. Like that's not really a spoiler. So, there's gonna be at least one character that dies this next episode if you haven't seen it yet. But she's like, I can't believe how they did in so and so. And it's like, Mom, like, that's a spoiler. And like Juliana called her out on it. And then my mom's like, that wasn't a spoiler. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not a spoiler. Anybody who reads that now knows that person dies. Like, what? Come on. Mom, disappointed. Come on. You can't be saying spoilers without, at least having a huge tag of spoiler in front of it.
All right, Brent, I want to hear your...
my movies,
yeah, Brent.
my TV show I would pick would be MASH. And it's a long-running series, just a phenomenal portrayal of just the whole wide range of human emotion. Almost every episode is entertaining, and it's one of those few series that ends on a really high note of just having a phenomenal conclusion to everything. So I would say MASH just for the versatility, and if you watch that series, you're going to have a really pretty good time of an iconic TV show.
You have a favorite episode?
I don't. I guess I don't watch it enough to keep it in, but it's just one of those
favorites.
Where if I were to, I need to get into it more.
You went to sleep at camp almost every single night watching MASH.
Yeah, I know pretty much every episode.
What's your favorite episode?
My favorite episode is Point of View, and it's an entire episode where you're in the point of view of a casualty. So basically, you are the
dead person the whole time.
You're the injured character, and you fly in the helicopter, and you basically fly in your bubble shield or whatever it is, like on the side of the air. Yeah, and they like Klinger and I want to say Anyways, they basically pick you up and put you on the
You see
the
all the main
Jeep and drive
characters
you
from that
down.
person's point of view.
Yep, the whole episode is from the point of view of an injured casualty. So like it's an entire episode you're laying in the bed and you're going through surgery, you're going through all the stuff as the casualty. So it's super interesting, and it's definitely it's like the one episode that's in a different point of view from all the rest of the episodes. It's one of my favorites.
And that's one of the things I liked about MASH is it was one of those shows that wasn't afraid to push the bubble. Another show I can think of that's sort of like that is Community. I wouldn't recommend that for if no one's ever watched TV to watch Community. It's not that great of a show, but in terms of they're willing to experiment with how they are a director or how they show their story, and I really appreciate that out of MASH. For movies, I'm going a little bit more simple. I'm going Finding Nemo, just because I think it's one of the stronger Pixar movies. And if you want to approach movies from an animated way of approach, like Finding Nemo is that kind of movie you'd want to watch. Just a really nice, feel good, but yet for the time especially, like visually stunning movie that has a good storyline, fun to follow, good comedy. I really enjoy that, and I feel like if you're gonna watch an animated movie, like I was thinking maybe Toy Story in there as well, but like Finding Nemo kind of fits that bill. Is a good introduction to the Pixar realm, and the other one too. I wish I could get a little bit more creative with these, just on the time crunch of trying to think of them. But like Iron Man, the one that started the whole Marvel franchise. I mean,
that was on my list.
If you like action movies, you're willing to go in and you like superheroes and you like thinking about it, like Iron Man transformed the superhero genre. It transformed action genre in a lot of sense, I think, in terms of you now are open to 20 plus movies of the Marvel universe that this is the introduction to it. And based off of Endgame, and I know it's a little bit recent, like I just watched it, so I'm really hyped about it, but it's like based off of how everything concluded, it's like that's
you get the start of the story and the end of the story for like the Infinity War saga or whatever.
It's just one of those things where it's like, if I was going to introduce someone and be like, hey, if you want to spend a lot of time watching TV, you want to spend a lot of time watching movies, Iron Man, this series, start with that.
Yeah, start with Iron Man and just go in chronological release order, and you'll have a good time.
And I would say like Lord of the Rings is that same kind of
Brent, you can't pick stop picking
more,
movies. That was literally going to be my TV series instead of a TV series. You're killing me. You're killing me.
All you, sorry.
Like, let's just name 5 more movies after. Okay, my number one movie, I would say, and it's honestly, it's not one of my favorite movies, but again, if it's one of those movies where you have to tell somebody you have to watch this movie before you die, Schindler's List would be one of them. I think that is a fantastic representation of that situation in World War II, and I think that's one of those must-watch movies for people in their lifetime where you should watch Schindler's List so that you get a true, at least, idea of the kind of stuff that happened in human history to make sure that we don't repeat that kind of thing again. So that'd be number one. Number 2 was going to be Iron Man. Like, that would have been my solid, like, that's fantastic movie. I guess, I will go another animated of Zootopia. I think that's like just a hilarious, like if you're going to go animated movie, that is hilarious. Like that is literally perfect for any age of person. You will like Zootopia. For TV series, I guess I can't really think of a really good one. I mean, maybe some of the Star Trek series might make sense for somebody to watch, but it's not for everybody. So I don't know if I could recommend it to like have to watch. Plus, I haven't fully watched all of Star Trek. But yeah, I was going to say Lord of the Rings as like a semi-substitute for a TV series. Don't even screw with The Hobbit. Don't even watch that. That's not worth it. But seeing the Lord of the Rings movies, they're such iconic books, and having it in movie form and well done movie form is pretty awesome. And especially at the time, it was some of the biggest budget stuff out there. And I think all the CGI and whatnot still holds up pretty good today. All right, now, do we want to talk about the TV series?
I think we have to. This is going on pretty long.
It's time. Well, it's good for you to say that. I'll try to clip that. All right, let's do it. You know what? I'll take this episode. I think it's my turn.
Go for it.
Sure. Okay, so this episode, if you're not caught up to season 8, episode 5, nailed it. Of
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
If you're not caught up to season 8, episode 5 of Game of Thrones, you might want to turn this away / turn this off. We appreciate you, but you definitely don't want to hear this if you have not been caught up on the episode. Overall, I'll do my quick 2 cents on the episode, then I'll just go through a quick rundown. My 2 cents is better episode than normal as far as this season and last season goes. I was cool with it. Stuff happened, and I appreciated it. So, how did this episode start off? It was... Now I can't remember even how it started. What was the very first thing?
Varys was sitting there scratching letters.
Yes, you're right. Okay,
Jon arrives.
Yep. So it opens up with Varys scratching letters, basically that he's planning on sending out to everybody he can, saying that Jon's the true heir to the Iron Throne. And then he hears that Grey Worm and them are coming to take him away, to be killed, and he quick burns one of the notes and throws in the jar, and gets taken out to outside of Dragonstone, and basically gets lined up. Tyrion has a really cool moment with him saying, "Hey, I'm the one that sold you out. Like, it was me. I feel like I'm obligated to say that." And then they execute him via dragon. After that, they cut to Cersei, I believe. No, they cut to Jaime and Cersei, or Jaime trying to get to Cersei.
I think it was first the Hound and Arya get to.
Yeah, they're showing everybody getting into the city. So yeah, the Hound and Arya got in. Jaime didn't quite make it, but he had also
snuck into the city.
Yeah, so Jaime got captured by Daenerys's men on the way down to King's Landing, and Tyrion ends up freeing him, saying, "Hey, you need to tell Cersei to surrender the city, otherwise Dany's just going to burn the whole thing. Like, please convince Cersei to surrender the city, and then I'll set up a boat for you so that you and Cersei can escape and live somewhere else with your child and be happy, and Cersei will go for it because she cares about her child. And I just want to save as many people in the city as I can." So Tyrion basically betrays Dany by releasing Jaime to allow him to get to King's Landing, to potentially try to talk Cersei into surrendering the city and leaving with him, basically. So the Hound and Arya make it into the city, but Jaime misses the cut. He tries to wave down the guards, but then he ends up going down to below the city to try to go in through the same entrances that Davos did when he was smuggling stuff back and forth, like the same entrance that goes through the Dragon's Skull basement area. And so he tries to go up there, and then he gets confronted by Greyjoy, the uncle, or Euron. And I thought that scene was okay. They had a quick tussle. Basically, Euron's like, "Oh, I fucked the queen. I'm the king now. You're going to slay another king?" And they have a little battle. Euron ends up stabbing Jaime twice. Jaime runs his sword through Euron. And Euron's like, "Oh, well, I got you, though. Like, as he's dying. I thought that was an okay way for Euron to go, personally. I think I don't know. I don't know what else they would have done with Euron that I would have been cool with. But I don't know. I was cool with that ending of Euron. In between the cut scene of that and slightly before that, they showed the start of the battle. Dany basically comes through and somehow, I will say, miraculously, torches all of the ships in the harbor that are guarding. The whole Iron Fleet is just gone, where before it was a big deal where she couldn't charge them. She did take the good strategy of coming from the sun. That was a good, legit strategy, for her first swing, and I was totally cool with her first pass of destruction. But to say she got away with destroying the entire fleet without a scratch, I thought that was a bit of a stretch. I think they showed her jumping them pretty well, and I was cool with the first 30, 45 seconds of her frying the ships. But then it's like, okay, they don't even get a single shot in her. And then she does a similar thing. So as Jaime's battling, Daenerys is doing a similar thing to the city where she's coming up behind the walls, destroying all the like ballista scorpions that they had mounting all over the walls, and just like destroys them all magically without getting shot once. Again, it's like I get the element of surprise, and I get that, but without a single scratch. Like the dragon came out with literally not a scratch on him, and that dragon by the end of this episode must have been hyperventilating, because even I breathing in and out that much the entire episode would have been pretty exhausting. But like, anyhow, so Daenerys ends up blasting through the back of the wall. That like, so the entire army is on the outside of the walls, facing off against the Golden Company, and Dany comes in from behind the wall and blasts it from the inside out. The Starks and the Unsullied and half of the not Targaryens, the Horsemen. Wow, can't think. Dothraki. They just have like a shit ton of Dothraki somehow. Like that was a bit silly. And again, I don't think this episode was that bad. I think it was the previous episodes that set up this episode to have its couple failures that it did have. Like in previous episodes, they showed the dragons getting easily sniped by these arrows. This episode, they're not touched by them. It's literally, I think all the big faults of this episode were caused by previous episodes. All the Unsullied and all the Dothraki that were able to attack somehow magically, especially the Dothraki. I could maybe believe the Unsullied, but the Dothraki, that amount of them going through the city, it's like they showed us in a previous episode that they all died, all of them, with flaming swords. And now they're like magically that many people there.
Actually, they did have a couple running back, like
they
3
retreated.
or 4.
They showed 4 Dothraki total, maybe coming back with Jorah. It showed it completely wiped out. And anyhow, but they start the armies flood the city. They start raiding it. They eventually, as Daenerys has gone around, she's toasted all the scorpions. She perches up on top of a thing overlooking all the Lannister armies and whatnot. Her army's coming in through the city, gets butt up face to face with the Lannister army. Lannister army gives up. They drop all their swords. And it was at this moment where the episode, nothing really much happened after that in the episode for the battle, besides Dany having this weird look about how she's gone too far, right? She has gotten to the point where she's hurt. Her friends are all gone. Nobody trusts her. She doesn't know who she can trust. She's going to take this, and she's going to make sure that she cracks, right? And she starts burning the city like crazy. Yeah, she loses control, starts burning the city. It's all over for the city. She's fully unleashed. I thought for a little bit she was just going to flame the entire army, but no, she just starts blasting the civilians, everybody. When she was flaming the whole row of army, I got that. Like, I get it. She doesn't want to deal with the army, but then she starts flaming civilians, and it's like, oh, Dany, like,
yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Come on, like, her flaming the army, I thought was bad. Like, oh, you don't need to do that, but I get it. And then when she starts flaming the civilians, it's like, oh, okay. And then she doesn't stop. The rest of the episode, when everything else that's happening, she doesn't stop the entire episode. She just blasts the entire damn city. It's just toast. Like, even during the episode, I'm like, dude, just go for the castle itself. Just screw the castle. You know that's where Cersei is. Leave the people alone. Screw the castle up. Like, you can rebuild the castle. Like, screw the castle. No, everybody. Anyhow, so eventually Arya and the Hound get themselves to the center of the city, into the Capitol building, into the castle, and they're walking through, and they have this really cool moment in the courtyard, which I liked it. There's some mixed thoughts about it online, but and maybe you guys feel free to jump in on this scene, but I liked it. I thought it was a good way for the Hound to be like, hey, like, bro talk, Arya. This has consumed, like, this revenge thing has consumed my entire life, and look where I am now. Like, my life has led up to this moment, and look at how old I am. Look how much of my life I've wasted going up to this moment. You don't want to be like me. And then Arya just kind of like has a, thinking moment. She's like, you're right. I don't want to be like that. And then she just dips out.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
Was this basically Hound freeing Arya of her list. Is this what this was?
I think so. I think it was the
That's
Hound
what they're
being
claiming it was.
It was. I don't know if it was freeing of the list. I think I will be disappointed if Arya decides to kill anybody else next episode. Like I don't think like they're trying to show you that Arya might kill Cersei. I don't think so. It'll very likely end up being Jon having to kill Dany, if anybody. Not sorry, I maybe said Cersei, but I don't think Arya's killing Dany. I think if anything, it's Jon, or maybe Tyrion, but most likely Jon.
I think it's gonna be Jon.
Yeah, that's the only one that makes sense to me, is him being like, I'm sorry, and doing her in. As far as okay, so the Hound kind of says Arya, dip out, like you don't want to be like me, and Arya's like, yep, you're right, I don't, and she's out. Nick, did you have something to add to that? I'll let you get your 2 cents.
Oh, I thought it was absolutely stupid.
Okay, and that's Nick's 2 cents.
What did you guys think about the battle between the Hound and the Mountain?
Yeah, so let me wrap it up real quick, because
episode.
that's pretty much the end of the episode, right? So the Hound ends up, Arya turns back. The Hound keeps going up the stairs that Cersei and the Mountain and I forgot the other guy. Her hand were coming down the stairs, and then basically the Hound's starts walking forward the Mountain starts walking forward towards the Hound, and then Cersei's like, get back here, like stay by my side, I'm scared. And then her hand is like, listen to your queen, and he just smashes that guy's head. I thought that was so good. Like it was kind of like Frankenstein's monster killing Frankenstein. I thought that was the perfect way for him to go. He wasn't that major of a character, but I'm happy of how he went.
I didn't even put that together. That
he was the one that saved him and like made him a zombie. Yeah, so he just smashed the only person that saved his life. And then Cersei's just like, I don't want a part of this, so she just like walks past Clegane or the Hound, and I think I get the Hound letting her go. Like initially, my reaction was like, "What? Like kill her? Just kill her quick!" But that was not his goal. His goal was to kill the Mountain. He does not even care about Cersei. That's not part of his life mission. Is anything to do with Cersei? So I was cool with Cersei just dipping past him, and then we have the Clegane Bowl, which I'll let Dylan go into it. Sounds like Dylan's excited about it. But then Cersei dips out, ends up meeting Jaime in the dungeons. They try to bail. There's not enough time, and when the whole castle collapses, they just die in each other's arms, and that's pretty much the end of the episode. Like,
if I may, one more note before Clegane Bowl. They had a lot of screen time related to Arya running through the city.
That was the end.
And they also had some screen time dedicated to Jon leading the foot soldiers through the city, and as the city tried to surrender. And Daenerys said, no, I'm just going to keep burning you. Jon was horrified and stuck trying to save people. And towards the end of the episode, he simply orders a retreat out of the city because Daenerys is burning everybody and everything. So he orders a retreat to escape from the city, to escape from the flames. And they also had a little bit of wildfire that they showed explosions of. The old patches that were a legend to be there. Caught on fire throughout all the explosions. Not nearly enough to be a material impact. It's not like they were blaming the murdering of the people on the wildfire. They were just kind of showing that was a factor.
Yeah, because there's a huge lore about how like he had a ton of these made and stashed around the city, but they don't think they got all of them, and they get worse and worse with age, or more potent with age. So I thought that was a good touch. I think they did a good amount. I agree that they could have driven the story differently in having it look like Cersei's the one that killed them with the wildfire, or have Cersei make it look like Dany killed everybody because they're with her using wildfire. But I don't know. They could have gone a different way, but I don't think it would have been better or worse.
That might have been too deep. People probably wouldn't have understood, or they'd have to explain it afterwards in the credits and be like, "This is what we're."
See, that's the beauty of Game of Thrones, though. If you're not watching from the beginning, you shouldn't really get it. Like, I do not care. I'm sorry, but if you're just watching this season for the first time now, I don't care what you do or do not understand. Like, right. I'm not like if you're just starting now and you're like, oh, I don't get it. I don't care. Like I've been watching 7 seasons of this. This is the final season. I don't care if you don't understand by starting in the final season.
Right. All right. So the Clegane Bowl. First off, I thought was pretty predictable. Now I didn't. So all right. So I guess I could walk through what all happened, but basically, I'm gonna do a real quick summary. The Hound basically realizes that he can't kill Mountain.
He stabs him so many times.
He gets beat up. He stabs him. Like the Hound gets his eyes like gouged. He puts a knife through the Mountain's head, and the Mountain pulls it out of his head.
Just like whatever.
So he realizes that he cannot kill the Mountain, and I called it from the very beginning. I was watching it with my family, and I told them at the beginning, I'm like, they're both going over the side together.
Oh yeah, for
like,
sure.
There's no more poetic way for them to go, since this is their life. Their life story is for them basically competing with each other and battling each other and making their life goal to kill one another. And I was, from the very beginning of the battle, I knew that they were going to go over the edge together, which is exactly what happened. And it was a beautiful ending to their story.
If I may, the only thing I could have liked more is if the Hound used fire to kill his brother. Like, I know they kind of said that at the end of the episode in like the director review or in depth. They're like, oh, he kills him with fire. It's like, I think the drop probably did most of the killing.
Yeah.
Like, I wish they would have spent a couple more seconds with them like hanging over the fire pit. Maybe like the Mountain has the Hound hanging over the fire pit. The Hound looks down, sees the fire, gets scared, and then realizes that he's got to take him with him. I think, if they added 20 more seconds of something like that, it would have been a lot more meaningful. But in general, yeah, I agree with you. I think they both had to go down at the same time for sure.
Yeah, it was just kind of meant to be. So, but in overall, like, it was a really good battle, and I didn't expect the Hound to get his eyes gouged out. That was like a really cringe moment in the battle.
You're like, oh no, he's doing it to him.
Yeah. So who was the character earlier in the earlier season that he did that? He was
the Scorpion
Oberyn.
or the Cobra Oberyn.
Oberyn Martell.
Yeah. Oh, bold, like that's such a cringy, dirty thing to do to someone, and to like actually like
such a power move.
Oh, it's so gross. But yeah, that was a good battle. But, in the end, I think it was kind of a cheap way for Cersei to die. Like, they got out easy.
Cersei got out way too easy.
I was like, from the beginning, I was hoping Arya was gonna find them. And honestly, if Arya would have just stayed where she was, Cersei would have ran right into her. So I don't understand.
For sure. Well, because Arya gave it up. Arya gave up wanting to get revenge.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was an interesting transition for Arya to go from wanting revenge to wanting to help people, and then ended up like getting these people killed and then almost dying herself. Like, that was a really interesting.
I will say
transition.
Cersei's death did not make me happy, but it is pretty Game of Thrones to do stuff that upsets you like that. Be like, oh, Cersei kind of gets her ideal death of with Jaime, and Jaime gets his of dying in the arms of his lover or whatever. It's like, it is kind like, although I don't like it,
like,
it is kind of Game of Thrones to do that to us and allow the quote unquote enemy to get kind of their way in the way they die.
Yeah.
Brent, you want to run us through the Arya stuff, or Nick?
The Arya stuff was nice. I mean, it was well shot, like beautifully shot. I found in ways it was kind of confusing, and I'm really interested to see the outcome of it. I know in Game of Thrones lore, like especially in the books, there's the whole prophecy of the pale mare, that horse that she found at the end. However, having not followed the books before, I was left a little confused about what that means. I'm excited to see what the future of that leads to. I thought that it was nice that she left on. I don't know. I didn't have much. It didn't do too much for me. It was like really nice, well cinematically shot, but it didn't it didn't seem like she should survive. Like I felt like she should have got crushed by, like she got really lucky, and everyone else around her is dead, but she survived. Like screamed plot armor to me. I don't know if anyone else got that vibe, but
Oh, that one didn't feel like plot armor to me too much. Like, I don't think there's any situation there where I felt that she was in any major danger. Like, I guess I didn't see it as plot armor. I thought I saw it as like more of like a Jon Snow type of plot armor where it's like he's been in worse before. Like he's just like he'll make it through this one. He's been in much worse. It felt like more just I know they're trying to tell a story through her, not trying to freak us out. Like, oh, she's gonna die. Like I don't think there was those anticipation moments like in the Battle for Winterfell where it's like they're surrounded, they're gonna like there's no way they're out of this. Whereas this one, it was like an explosion, an explosion, an explosion. Like there wasn't anything lurking over her after each scene cut, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you like kind of knew she'd make it out. I thought Jamie's was interesting that he didn't die right away. Like he got stabbed, what looked like really badly. Yeah, he was able to go all the way up to Cersei and all the way back down to the bottom. Like he should have succumbed to his wounds, I think, a little earlier. If it was realistic, but it's also a fantasy novel, so I guess I
think it would have been interesting if Jamie went to like save Cersei and Cersei did, it was something to the effect of like Cersei's like, no, like I'm giving up on you, like some sort of twist that makes it that way Cersei give up on him, and then that would force Jamie to kill her. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people have predicted. So again, I'm not. It is kind of Game of Thrones-esque of Game of Thrones to do something that nobody predicted and nobody thought and wanted to happen. But I think it would have been a better complete to Jaime's story.
Are you saying if I may, are you saying they subverted our expectations?
Maybe. I don't know if it's they subverted our expectations or if they made sure what happened isn't what everybody expected.
That's called a synonym.
Sure.
No, I only say that because there are videos out there that are ripping the
D&D.
There's D&D new rear ends, if you will, basically saying they're like two little kids who figured out a new technique to use in their work, and it's called subversion. So they just said, okay, if we can just constantly subvert everyone's expectations, you think Jon or Daenerys are going to be the ones to kill the Night King? Well, nope. Guess what? Subversion. Arya, who has no issue with the Night King other than the fact that he's deaf, is going to be the one to kill the Night King, and it has no meaning whatsoever. Okay, well that's subverting your expectations, and there's just a bunch of twists that are broken out and kind of say, okay, everything that should have been wasn't, because they just said, oh well, George R.R. Martin does it by just constantly twisting and turning at the last second and subverting your expectations. We'll do the same thing, and they just ruined everything. Frankly, if we can get into the opinion section, this is happy to see that I was not the only fan who was incredibly disappointed. Who is
in this episode?
In the whole series, yes. In how religiously they have followed George R.R. Martin's the character development, the story arcs, everything. For Jaime Lannister to not kill Cersei, to not have any kind of redemption, to not do anything relevant is ridiculous. For Euron Greyjoy to have finally made it to screwing the Queen, to just going off and challenging Jaime Lannister to a one-on-one fight and dying, despite being able to kill, some of the best assassins from Dorne. Granted, you could say he was on a ship, but it's still just a fight, and he got beat by a one-handed man.
Well, he'd also just swam to shore because his ships got destroyed, so he was already tired. I'll give him that one.
It's just bad storytelling. It's just bad writing.
I don't know about that either, because Jaime's supposed to be like the greatest swordsman ever. Granted, he's one-handed, and it's his non-dominant hand now that he's sword fighting in, but he's still... It's like if Dylan, because he's really good at shooters, went and played a brand new shooter, or even you, Nick, like you play a shooter, even if it's a brand new one, you're going to be halfway decent because you already get it. I think it's the same kind of thing. Like Jaime was already like a master swordsman. He's not as good, but he's still pretty damn good.
He didn't beat him with superior swordplay. He lost in a wrestling match.
If I may, how did Jaime Lannister live so long with 2 stab wounds to the side of his chest?
That's what I said.
Yep.
To be fair,
I
that kind of blade is not a
up.
cutting blade, so you probably could live a little bit.
That
longer
blade
with
was in his chest.
it. No, it was in the side of him. But yeah.
Yeah, the side of him into his chest. He lived for like hours.
If I may, I will take myself out of the conversation under the theory of if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I'm going to give my one nasty note, which I shouldn't say, but I want to.
Say it.
Every video source that I respect has basically been ripping this and last season a new rear end for how badly they butchered the characters, the story arcs, everything. The favorite line I had from one of the content creators on YouTube was, I hope D&D never get work again as any kind of director, producer, anything. Like they can oversee some visually stunning, beautiful scenes, but as far as storytelling and
that's about it.
Nothing. They should not be involved ever. I am legitimately going to write a letter to HBO about my disappointment.
We want to see that letter.
I am quite legitimately going to write the letter and provide feedback because I am that disappointed. And that's about the only thing I can do as a fan is to share my note that if there is ever another Game of Thrones prequel or a remake or anything, these two should not be involved with writing anything. And that was the line that the content creator essentially put out there. And that made me very happy because I'm not the only one who feels this way.
The prequel is shooting this summer, and it is not done by those two.
Interesting.
From what I've been reading, though, the episode followed, this episode more than others in the past few have followed J.R.R. Martin's couple of his ideas more
because
than others.
They have to get to it. They only have one more episode after this one.
It's a good
they literally
point.
had
they
to get
to follow
to
him
it
at some point.
They were forced to follow him because they had no other time they could have burned.
Yeah, that's
All
true.
right. So if I may, as someone who hasn't read any of the books and doesn't know anything about how the books are written, honestly, I still think this is I hear all this negativity, but I still think it's a good show, and I'm still intrigued when I watch it, and I'm enjoying watching it. And
that's what I said last week. But
I know, and I understand. I agree with you that as someone that's not fully involved in all of the comments afterwards, and a super fan, that it's not a bad show, and there's a lot of people in the that's watching it that still enjoys it.
Yeah, Nick,
it doesn't
prove that you hate it and don't even watch the final episode. Prove it, Nick.
Oh.
You won't.
You won't. You'll watch it. I know you will.
Ironically, for the first time ever, we were going to potentially be late for getting home from the weekend and not be able to watch the episode. And I basically told Megan, I really don't care. If we get home late, I'll watch it. I'll watch it before I go to bed, certainly. But
no. You're on strike.
I don't feel the need. I don't feel the need
Take
to watch
a stand,
it live,
Nick.
I don't care. It's just not worth it. And even Megan was like, "You're that pissed off?" I'm like, "Yep."
Take a stand, Nick. Don't even watch it at all.
I still think it's a good series, and and people will still rewatch it, especially if a prequel comes out. Everyone's gonna watch that.
Yeah, and my big thing is I have to accept it as one version of a storytelling. It is not a good version, but it is a version of how the story goes.
All right.
That's just kind of what I've condemned myself to having to believe.
Nick, do you believe the theory going around that Martin has finished the books, but is waiting until the show is coming? One of the actors have said that came out. He's written the books, but he's waiting until the audience reacts to see how he should change it.
Have you seen? There's a bar graph or a line plot graph out there somewhere showing pages written per time period. George R.R. Martin is the slowest writer in the history of great writers. There's no way he has both books done.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that theory. I would be thrilled if he did, and he wouldn't be doing it to watch the reaction. He doesn't write for the reaction. He's beyond that. Done, and he contractually has to wait, which would actually be one of the best sales ploys ever, to wait for the TV version of your book to be done, and then if people like it or don't like it, then they have the book version that has more detail and everything wrapped up, or however you want to look at it. It would be a great marketing move to whip that out about, announce it a week after. But I think the truth lies more in the way of he's just not done yet, and it's because it's so detailed, because it's so good, because there are so many subplots and theories, and the political realm that he creates, it's so massive. I think he's even commented in interviews he'll never do anything this big again, because the ball of yarn's gotten so huge that,
it's hard for him to even keep it together.
Right. Even he struggles with, oh, wait, no, he can't do that because that character's over here. And
I already said this prophecy.
Exactly. He doesn't do time travel bullshit like in the show. He doesn't do all these different things that the show's just like, oh, yeah, of course, they were above the wall.
It's a Lord of the Rings quality book where every little detail, even the language, the disparate languages were thought out and figured out, what the words actually mean, and basically inventing his own language for it, kind of thing. It's that level of detail.
There have been people who want to build a recipe book based on his descriptions of food from feasts in the book. There's that much detail, that much crap that goes into this that doesn't come quickly to describe something and make that kind of a masterpiece. You're watching a master at work. You're reading a masterpiece, and not yet, just like with a Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit series or whatever.
Did you guys see
that level?
Did you see the post I posted about? Basically, they're
on Facebook.
They're looking.
Did you delete it?
Nope, not on Facebook. Basically, they're looking for teachers to teach the Dothraki language, because it is better. It is a better language than Elvish from Lord of the Rings. There's full. I'm trying to think of the salary, but it was a $50,000 job to
teach
full time teach Dothraki, because it was a more complete language than Elvish in Lord of the Rings. They're looking for teachers.
There is no word for thank you in Dothraki, Khaleesi.
I thought that was super interesting. That they're looking
That's just comical, but fun.
They're looking for language to teach it.
Yeah,
Nick brings up a good point though, about how Tolkien was able to wrap things up so nicely, and J.R.R. Martin probably can do that, but what if he doesn't? Is there something to be said? He
said it was going to be a Lord of the Rings-esque ending.
But if you think about sequel, anytime a series ends, and I think mostly for TV, 9 times out of 10, if a TV series ends, I'm disappointed in it. Mainly because it sucks, but then also because the show I really like is done. It's over, and there's not going to be any more. There's just an inherent disappointment in the fact that something great is over. Can he actually make something that's going to live up to fans' expectations? Especially for Game of Thrones, the expectations are astronomical.
Is George spelled with a J or G for George R.R. Martin? Because you keep saying J R.R. Martin.
I meant G. I apologize to George.
George R.R. Martin. You get
sorry, George.
I apologize to George Martin. Right there.
Right. Dylan, you want to wrap us up? I think are we good on Game of Thrones talk?
I think so. All right, that was episode 48 of If I May. I hope you all enjoyed. There's a new episode every Thursday. You can support us. You can buy merch, subscribe, share, rate, and review.